Hello, everyone. This is Doug Wilkerson with Saturday Night Live Life Recovery.
Good evening.
Good evening. Vanessa made it back.
Good.
I didn't notice it until I just looked up there. So, Saturday Night Live Life Recovery. What does that mean? That means that we're here to help you in the recovery process of what's going on in your life, whether it's drugs, alcohol, any obsessive compulsive behavior. Hey, we're not credentialed individuals. We're just some folks that have worked with each other, learned some things. Well, some of us may not be credentialed for legal protection. I'm not credentialed or certified by any organization at this present time that I'm aware of, or wanted either. How about that? So, but it's here. We're here to try to help you to have recovery. That's not just sobriety. That's recovery. Recovery is a internal transformation. That is helping you to become that you were intended always to be, not necessarily what you've been. How do you like that statement? Is that okay? Does that work, Jimmy? Okay. And so anyway, we're here to help, whether you come in live or whether you're on the internet. So tonight we are still in step 7, which is a very important step out of the 12 steps, out of our life recovery Bible and workbook. This is a workbook. We're covering 9, giving up control. Those sound like real simple words, but it is a lot harder to do because that control stuff's got a hold of us in so many different areas of our life, in our thinking, in our consciousness, in our non-conscious or subconscious, as some would call it. And our scripture reference is going out of Jeremiah 18, 1 through 6. Step 7 is we humbly ask him to remove our shortcomings. Step 6, we were getting ready to let go of our defects of character. And this month, we are now, since we worked a whole month on getting ready, did you get ready? But now it's time to humbly ask him to remove. And the fact of it is, if you could have done it entirely on your own, you would have already done it. And how's that worked out for you?
It did.
Yeah, it did. And there's so many people that I've talked with that they thought they did, and they were able to do a certain amount of willpower. But the fact of it is, willpower is not infinite. It does deplete. And then at the right time, situations occur, opportunities happen, and it shows up at the most inappropriate times. You know what I mean? And if we're not careful, if we haven't made plans, then we can slip up. So we're going to be talking about this tonight. A couple of quotes that I want to lay out here is, if you let go a little, you will have a little peace. If you let go a lot, you will have a lot of peace. So there is a certain amount of control, isn't it? Controlling of letting go. So if you can't let go of all control and just got to you got to keep control of letting control not control you, then you can have peace.
That's not confusing.
Well, I think you understand it. You may not be able to say it again, but I think you understand it. Dale Carnegie said this: everybody in the world is seeking happiness, and there is no sure way to find it. This is Dale Carnegie. Everybody know Dale Carnegie? How to Influence Friends and influence people, how to win friends and influence people. And he goes on to say, there is by controlling your thoughts. Well, there should be a little control, I guess, directing our thoughts, making healthy choices, okay? That is by controlling your thoughts. Happiness doesn't depend on our outward conditions. It depends on our inner conditions. Yes. Let's try another one. This is anonymous. That person happens to say a lot. So if you learn self-control, you can master anything. James Allen, which has a lot of people have referred to his book a lot. He says, self-control is strength. Right thoughts is mastery. Calmness is power. How's that? So welcome everybody. Welcome you that are here with us tonight, and welcome you out in internet land. So we're going to welcome up our band. So come on down. The band. How about that? We'll just call you the band.
Glory, glory, hallelujah, since I laid my burdens down. Glory, glory, hallelujah, since I laid my burdens down. Glory, glory, hallelujah, since I laid my burdens down. Glory, glory, burdens down, Lord, since I laid my burdens down. Burdens down, Lord, burdens down, Lord, since I laid my burdens down. Since I laid my burdens down. Shame is a prison. School is a grave. Shame is a robbery. Come to take my name. Oh, and my redeemer. Lift me up from the ground. Oh, power, and I'm free as long as hold my body down. There's so much truth in that song. If we lean on him, nothing can hold us down. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I am found. Was blind, but now I see. Was raised. Just who is all I saw. The sun will shine, but God, He gave me
year or so ago. I had never really completely understood grace before, and somebody explained it to me like, grace is the space that God gives you to get it right. I thought that was so profound, blew my mind. So.
Good.
Jesus, lover of my soul. Jesus, I will never let you go. You've taken me from the miry clay. You set my feet upon the rock. Now I know that I love you and I need you. My world may fall, I'll never let you go. My Savior, my closest friend, I will worship you until the very end. Amen.
Caught you off guard. Yes. That was a quick breaking. Yeah,
I like to keep you on your toes.
I'm there. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
John's up next.
Wow, give me John.
The 12 steps. We admit that we are powerless over our problems and that our lives have become unmanageable. Step one, that's step one. Step two, we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Step three, we made a decision to turn our wills and our lives over to the care of God. Step four, we made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Step five, we admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Step six, we were entirely ready to have God remove these defects of character. Step seven, we humbly asked God to remove our shortcomings. Step eight, we made a list of all persons that we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. Step nine, we made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. Step 10, we continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. Step 11, we sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry it out. Step 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to others and to practice these principles in all of our affairs. Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Hello,
Thank you, John. Hello.
hello, everybody out there in video land.
Hey, Tommy.
Hi. We got step 7, giving up control. Yikes, who wants to do that? We humbly asked Him to remove our shortcomings. Giving up control may be difficult for us. When we get ready for God to remove our shortcomings, we still may want to control how He does it. We are so used to calling the shots that we'll ask for God's help as long as He does it on our terms. We may demand that the changes happen on our timetable or in an order we feel ready to give them up. God doesn't work that way. That is why humility is such an important part of the step. God told Jeremiah to go to the potter's shop to learn a lesson. Jeremiah said, I did as he told me, and found the potter working at his wheel. But the jar he was making did not turn out as he hoped, so he crushed it into a lump of clay and started again. Then the Lord gave me this message. Can I not do to you as this potter has done to the clay? As the clay is in the potter's hands, so are you in my hands. Jeremiah 18:3-6. God told Isaiah, what sorrow awaits those who argue with their creator? Does a clay pot ever argue with its maker? Does the clay dispute with the one who shapes it, saying, stop, you're doing it wrong? Does the pot exclaim, how clumsy can you be? That's from Isaiah 45:9. When we put our life in God's hands, He will reshape us as He sees fit. It is our humility that allows us to accept the fact that He is the creator. Our new life may dissimilar to the one we left behind, were entirely different. God is the master craftsman. Whatever he does, we can trust that he will recreate our life beautifully once we get out of his way. So kicking and screaming. No, I don't want to change. Can't take it. That's I like where it says here. Does a pot ever say to the maker that you're doing it wrong? So I mean, telling God you're doing it wrong. I don't know if I could ever do that.
You don't know if you could ever do
I
that?
don't think I could tell God personally, hey, you're doing it wrong.
So you're saying you never said that?
No, I may have said it quite a few times in the past, and I've learned no, stay out of that. I really like this because it's about just getting out of the way, but actually being involved. That's where the humility, the humility comes in, is that we get out of the way, but we stay involved.
Well, yes, but there's the other way of saying it here is giving up control.
Giving up control.
And letting the potter do the shaping instead of us saying how we want it to be.
Instead of fussing and fighting the whole
Yeah,
time.
and saying, no, don't squeeze me that hard, or don't shape me that
I
way.
want two handles.
Yeah, I want it to be, I want to be tall and slender,
Yeah.
and maybe a little more hair,
Be rich and fly a jet.
maybe.
Get out.
But we have to be willing to be shaped. And are we willing to let something help us be shaped? And in recovery terms, we're talking about being having recovery or being transformed,
Or
being
moved.
quickened, okay, waking up, learning something, giving up something, being willing to have new habits.
Good habits. Good
Good
stuff.
habits.
Yeah. Any questions? Throw it in here.
So what do you think? What do you think this clay feels like when it's on the potter's wheel?
Like the first thing that came to mind was like a cat's tongue. It's all kind of sticky and
And rough
and
at
rough,
the same time,
and sticky
right?
and rough. Yeah.
And difficult.
Yeah. It's difficult to work with.
Yes, and so I wonder what that would do to the clay if that's the way they were. What if there's too dry and hard and brittle, stiff and
Yeah.
angry and was fighting back?
Yeah.
Does that remind you of anybody you know?
Right here.
So I wonder. Just a question popped in my head. I wonder if we make it harder on ourselves by resisting so and fighting God's shaping. You think we make it harder on ourselves?
Well, yeah, because it said that he can just go smash and start over.
Right.
Yeah.
So I wonder if the master here, the master shaper,
Yeah.
The reason why he has to maybe start over was because the clay was fighting.
Yep.
What do you think about that?
So it was like gravel.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's our heart as gravel.
that's good. I like that. Gravel. I wonder what gravel would represent.
Rocky, rough life.
Yeah.
Treacherous life.
Yeah, but what did that produce in that molded clay or that gravelly stuff?
A lot of heartache,
Heartache,
tension,
tension,
addiction,
anger, unforgiveness,
fights with people, and
bitterness,
yeah.
revenge.
Yeah.
All that would be kind of gravelly type stuff, right?
Yeah, but it says right there, you can just smash that too.
Yeah.
You just,
I imagine a good potter would work that stuff out.
Yeah.
I wonder how comfortable that would be.
Oh. Yeah, I bet. Willie, are you ready?
I guess.
Thank you. Thanks, John.
See if you can kick that in,
Talk again?
tuck, towards the mic.
Yes, we're not enough.
We got more, we got more than one there.
There's two mics that are all mixed up.
I guess we'll have to fix that later. Thanks, Tommy.
You're welcome.
Was that too tough for you?
No, never.
You cut me off.
I did.
Hey, just so you know, I watched a tutorial on pottery, and the guy that was trying to teach people to do it was talking about when you put it on the wheel, you gotta have it perfectly centered. And then you can't have the wheel spinning too fast, because if it spins too fast and you touch it, it's gonna fly off. And if you put that into perspective here, maybe that's why you gotta be patient.
Yeah.
Because if you go too fast, you're gonna break down.
So,
Yeah,
but
put
who
that
has the
together.
patience, the potter or the clay?
That would be the potter. He's the one, that's why he takes his time in some cases.
But, this giving up control, maybe the clay wants it to get over with and
But
go
it wants
fast.
to be done, one and done.
Yeah,
I'm gonna tell you, yeah. But it's just, I had to watch one just to see what it was like.
Yeah, I watched it with that
And-
video on there.
Yeah, you gotta keep control of the wheel, dude. It's messy too. Good evening, everybody.
all right.
Giving up control. Question number 1. Have I ever demanded to have circumstances changed for my benefit? Well, yeah. You want it to go your way, or you don't really want to do it, and that's over most anything. Everybody could have, most people will say, yeah. Hey, I want to be better, but I want it this way. You do it this way for me and we're good. So. Question 2, have I ever become impatient with God's timing in the process of changing my heart and character? Well, if I said no, I'd be lying on that. I'm an impatient person, always have been. I'm working on it though, better today than I was yesterday, but I'm not as good as I'm gonna be.
I like it.
So, anyways, but yeah, I'm impatient on most anything that I've done, and I give up real quick. I used to. Let me rephrase that. I'm getting better at that too. I used to. Now I'm down to question 3, and this is this one here has been on my mind most of the week. What keeps me from letting go so that God can shape my life better than I could ever imagine or create myself? That's a simple question. The answer should be nothing, but, as I pondered over it all week and kept on, my answer to that would be not being able to live up to the expectations he's putting on. Would be the reason I would hold myself back from that. He knows what I can do, and that's just me doubting myself.
I probably, but there's somebody else you got.
Doubting him too. You doubt him, yeah.
You're down, God.
So, and
What's
like I
up with
said,
that? That almost sounds as bad as what Tommy said.
well,
Yeah.
I mean, that question there had me pondering all week on that one, because there's really no right answer to it. Ain't no wrong answer, but there ain't really no right one either. But like I said, it's all, you just gotta let it go and
It's all in your perspective.
let it go and write it out. If you're letting him do it, it's gonna be better than what you could have done. So just say, okay, let's do it. I'm done.
I think you ought to read that last question again.
Last question?
And let everybody have a chance to respond.
Okay. What keeps me from letting go so that God can shape my life better than I could ever imagine or create myself?
It's unfamiliar. It's like not familiar. Territory, the ground's changing.
Like familiar areas.
Yeah, unfamiliar.
For me, it's
So
been
you mean you gotta control by knowing? Is that what you're saying?
What I thought, because it could be dangerous, yeah.
So,
I'd rather know where I'm going sometimes than not.
so then again, God doesn't know what he's doing.
Yes, it does.
So then, what are you trying to say, Tom?
I don't know what I'm doing, and it's scary.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say.
And so you're saying that it's unfamiliar, so I can't do it, or I don't wanna do it, I'm afraid to do it. And because I don't trust God to lead me and help me and prepare me and take care of me in the process. So then, so you're saying you're needing to work on letting him shape you some more. I wonder how he was gonna shape you.
Before everything happened?
No. Maybe he wants to shape you during everything as it happens.
Oh, okay, that makes sense now. I got that.
What do you think about that?
Good stuff.
When he's beating up on that clay, that's pretty hard and difficult possibly. Because it's hard and unfamiliar. But if we don't yield to the process,
Change doesn't come.
then change doesn't come, right? It's kind of like what you feel when you no longer have the substance or the behavior to feed the addiction. Anybody else?
I know for me, I think I was so angry at God for a long time and I couldn't admit it. And so I couldn't trust him because I didn't understand why he would let so much bad things happen. And I don't think I wanted to believe that there was truth that long suffering produces patience, that produces perseverance, that builds our character. Like, I wanted to choose the long suffering and not have to go through what I went through.
So you're saying that was part of your control, was wanting your way.
Mhm.
It's not my fault, it's somebody else's fault. I don't have to change all my conditions in my life need to be different.
Yeah, because I wasn't at a place that I was able to see my part yet until I was.
Mhm. I get it. So you're saying that didn't work out very well for you.
Made a
So
lot
how
of
do
things
we,
worse.
how do we wake up? How do we finally open our eyes? What helps us to do that?
Honestly, for me, it was worse things.
Kind of like what I just said to Tommy a moment ago, right?
Mhm.
Going through the process, going through the agitation process in the washer, right? Nobody likes the agitation or the wringing out. Anybody here like being wrung out?
If we did, we probably wouldn't be here.
Interesting. Anybody else? Thanks, everybody. Thanks, John, for reading, and thanks, band, for playing, and thanks to Willie and Tommy. That was tight. Got it now. All right, so we're talking about step 7, and kind of going off of what Tommy was talking about and what Vanessa was talking about here is step 7, we humbly ask. So we're in the middle of the difficulty, and we know that we should do better or be better, but there's a big part of us that's resisting that. Am I telling the truth? Yeah. Hello? And so as we come to him, we humbly ask him to remove our shortcomings. And this is not what I want to be. This is not what I want to do. Help me to be better. Now, some people get real frustrated in the process because, as you mentioned, one and done. I think it was you that said that. We like it to be just one and done, and process isn't normally that way, right? It's just one micro move at a time sometimes to making that move, because just like step 6 was working on us to get ready, it wasn't anything that we were supposed to do. It was a mental, emotional, spiritual shift, hopefully inside of us, preparing us to be ready to humbly ask him, so that we, as he begins to take it, that we give up control, so we let it go. You know what I mean? Shall I tell a story?
Yes.
I remember driving down the road, and I was praying, and I said, and I was just like, I had all this yucky, ugly stuff inside of me, and I said, God, just rip it out of me. And then I said, no, don't do that. There wouldn't be anything left. That was not giving up control, right? No. But as soon as I said that, I realized, no, go ahead and do it. Well, it's not that easy for him to rip it out of you. But I had to be willing to let it go, in whatever degree that he's able, and that I'm willing to let it go. Does that make sense? And it's not easy because of what Tommy was talking about being familiar, because we don't want to lose the familiar ground to go to the unfamiliar, which unfamiliar means our amygdala says danger, 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 because we don't know anything about it. It may be perfectly safe, but we're going to look at it from a dangerous perspective. And that's for survival. And I'm not saying that's all bad, except the way we need to move in these things is we need to know by testing it. And I always use the illustration of walking on a frozen pond, which I haven't done in many, many years, but when I was younger, to check to see if it was strong enough, you throw something on the ice. You stomp on the edge. You see how it reacts. And if it holds up there in the first foot, then you check it out further. And you see what's safe and what's not safe. Don't be like a kid when I was in high school, rode his motorcycle onto Spring River in the winter, and it was frozen till he got towards the middle. And then it went down. He was all right himself. I don't know if he ever got the motorcycle back, but that river is a deep river, at least in the area that he was riding. And so anyway, we can take uncertain risks that are not beneficial, but we're talking about in recovery, you have to be willing to let go of this stuff. And like I said a few weeks ago, until we're willing to let go of that, there's no room for him to come in and fill.
and it's a transference.
I was selfish. I couldn't give up Bob.
Well, you know, we learned in our earlier years, as far as our survival mechanism, is to try to do all that stuff, and we learned that, some of that, and some of it is extreme, I grant you. But as we begin to do that, as we gain those skills, as we go through the levels of growth, we have to be able to really to move on. We have to be willing to let go of other things. And I know that's really abstract that I'm talking about, but you may have an idea. But there's always to be able to move on, you have to be willing to let go of certain things. And so that you can move. And he wants to lead us and guide us in that, right? One scripture that I had put down here is out of, and I'm looking for it, there it is Romans 8:28. And it's very familiar to a lot of us. Oh, and by the way, Heather texted me a while ago during music and said that she's sorry that she's not able to be here. Her foot was hurting extremely tonight, and something about having to take her, something about her mom and oxygen, and I don't, several different things. But she asked in the text that I extend to her greetings to you and say that she'll be here next week. So that's what she said. So back on to Romans 8:28. This is out of the NET. It says, and we know that all things, how many things? All things work together. And we're not for sure, like Tommy was talking about, we're not for sure that we trust this because we haven't tested it out. How can we trust that he can work all things out? But hey, I don't know. If you can't, you can. But how are you doing so far? Is your plan working great? Better than since you've been making new things, right? Yeah. New choices, healthier choices. So now we know that all things work together for good for those who love God and who are called according to his purpose. One translation says that he'll cause all these things to work together. And I know that can be challenging to accept. But I remember a time in particular when things seemed to be going to hell all around me. Stuff breaking down, it happens to us all. Did you know that?
Not you, Doug.
Yeah, it does. In fact, sometimes there's a lot of stuff. Because the more stuff you have, the more stuff it happens to. So, but I'm not complaining. I'm just making a statement. But anyway, I was walking across this parking lot thinking about, man, it just seemed like it was a tidal wave. And the thought, Romans 8:28 came to my mind. And the thought was that he'll cause all these things to work together for my good. And I said, sometimes I am shocked by what comes out of my insides, out of my mouth. And I said, I don't see how you can make this turn out to be my good. And I heard me say that. Have you ever heard yourself say something? I've heard myself say several things that shocked me. And then I deal with myself. And I said, well, but you said it. I'm just going to believe that and give that a chance. And so instead of worrying and being upset about all of that, I decided to do what I was doing and give my focus to that particular issue that was going on. actually, I was shopping with my wife. I didn't have too much focus I had to do other than try to keep up with her. But the fact of it was, haven't we found out he does work all these things out, causes them to work out? Maybe it's not exactly the way we want it to, but we're still here. There's been many times that we thought we were gonna die, and we're still here. Thank God for that.
Sometimes slowly, sometimes quickly.
Yes, amen. That's right. So as he is shaping us and forming us, and sometimes heading us, not to hurt us or to harm us, but maybe to help loosen us up and shift us. Maybe instead of him hitting us, we're running ourselves into a wall, or putting ourselves in a hard place, or making that same stupid choice one more time, okay? Or we're getting involved with that individual that we know where we'd always go to, but we're gonna try it again. We need another chunk of chaos in our life, so we're gonna jump in the middle of that tornado. You know what I'm talking about? Hello?
Maybe it'll be better.
Maybe it'll be better this time. Maybe, do what?
Isn't that the definition of insanity?
Yeah, doing the same thing over, expecting different results. Yeah, that is true. So, I went long last week, so I'm not going to go long this week. Yes.
In giving up our control,
Yes.
do we give up some of the responsibility of what happened to us?
No.
Are we responsible for what happens to us?
We're responsible for what we do, even to the things that happen to us.
How we react.
Just the reaction.
It's taking responsibility. One author says this: we are responsible for everything that happens to us and around us to some degree.
We make choices.
Absolutely. And those choices affect our lives and all the lives around us, whether it's healthy choices or unhealthy choices. Now, the thing about acceptance is that we don't have to like it, but we have to accept it so that we have the possibility to impact it or to affect it.
I have questions,
Sheesh.
but I don't know, I'm trying to figure out if I can answer it myself.
I bet you can.
So there's a scripture, we'll be judged by what we know. And so when we're in the
Wait.
I probably have that out of context.
I'm not familiar with that.
I'll try to find it. Anyway, when we're in a place where we don't know better, because we all start there where we don't realize our part, I guess, or at least that it was for me. How much of that responsibility do we have for our surrounding? Let's say when we're born into a family that is toxic, are we really responsible for what happens to us at that point? Because we don't know better until we do know better, and then we're responsible for making better choices.
You want me to say something?
Yes, please.
Are you sure?
Yes,
Are you positive?
absolutely.
Did I ask 3 times yet?
Yes, I think
Okay,
so.
all right. You're still hung up on what other people did to me.
Mhm.
We're not saying you're responsible for other people's choices. You're responsible for your choices.
Okay.
And even if I make wrong choices because I didn't know, I'm still responsible.
Okay.
Okay? Now, because if we live in blame or anger or revenge, that poisons our soul. Does that make sense? And so they did it to me. But then if I continue to suffer with it, and by the way, as I have looked at suffering, most suffering is it is well, a lot of it's self-inflicted, but it's more of a self-imposed spiritual suffering that we do to ourselves, where we emotionally afflict ourselves. And Spinoza said that emotion, which is suffering, we're talking about the emotion that we strike as suffering. There are other emotions, but this is the emotion of suffering. When we get a clear and precise picture of it, and that is that they did this, okay? There's no way to ever make that right, okay? A wrong is a wrong is a wrong, but we accept that that was wrong. Yes, it affected me. I reacted. I had to do whatever I did probably to survive, okay? I did whatever I had to do to survive. There's nothing wrong with surviving. And in fact, neuroscience tells us that our amygdala is tied so tightly into our nervous system that it's quick, and our body reacts, and it makes a decision which coping skill we go into. It decides for us. We don't think about it, it decides for us. But then we can create a habit pattern because we keep doing it. And that is fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Okay, primarily, those are the four main ones. And so it makes a decision, and it is able to calibrate in an instant which one will keep us safe. Okay, and so and sometimes it's fight, sometimes it's freeze, sometimes it's to run away, sometimes it's to pretend that I like the person, I want to get along with them until I'm able to find a way to escape. That's fine. And so the reality here is what Willie may say to me is not my fault. How I respond to that, Epictetus said that, it's not what people say, it's my response to what they say that matters. And the fact of it is, when we're angry and when we're pushed out of shape, we are still caught in that reactive response sometimes. Instead of saying, wait a minute, I don't like the way I react. I want to be proactive instead of reactive, and learn to shift myself and trust myself to be able to keep myself safe instead of my amygdala shutting us down. In my earlier years, it would take over. And in some cases, it was after the fact I kind of came to. I'm talking about cognitively. And when I realized that was going on, I said, I don't want to be that way. I did want to stay in control of me, okay, of my awareness. And of course, that's shifting and trying to get your coping skill of overriding your survival mechanism, or being your survival mechanism. So did I overtalk that?
No, and I think the long and short of what I think you're saying is that even though then we may not know better, now that we do, it's our responsibility now. We can't change it, but can't change what happened then, but we can now.
And resentments can kill us.
Absolutely. Yes, and they poison us. They cause us to react in unhealthy ways that affect or poison our soul and our relationships around us. And so, because people oftentimes don't like to be around harsh, ugly, bitter people, right? The only people that want to be around that kind of person is people that want to fight with you. or use you to take care of their stuff, to stir you up and get you to take care of their battles. That's kind of abstract, but some of you may have got that. So anything else?
Well, you only have control over you.
So not all the time, but most
You
of the
don't
time.
have any control over what other people.
You have absolute, and that's where we want to go next. Absolutely. And that is the Serenity Prayer. Okay, and we are familiar with the Serenity Prayer, but it says, God grant me the serenity. All right, we're looking for serenity. What's another word for serenity?
Peace.
Peace. Very good. Peace. Another word?
Well, you know, with me, it was so simple, but so I didn't understand it, that no God, no peace, no God, and no peace.
Yes.
When you have no God, and then when you know God.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with you, but there are some people that are watching us, and there may be somebody in this room that has struggled with the knowing God aspect. They know about Him, but they have a hard time knowing Him. There's a whole different deal there, and connecting emotional or in a more intimate way. And I know that I have been myself. I have been working on that for many years, and I'm not as good as I'm going to be, but I'm way better than I used to be. Okay, and so that is a process, and thank God that God's mercy is everlasting, right? So, what's another word besides peace for serenity? Do what?
Patience.
Patience could be, yeah, it could be.
Acceptance.
Acceptance could be. What else?
Willingness?
Willingness could be. God.
Be willing to accept it.
Be willing to accept it. I just like to ask questions to inflect thought on you. How about that terminology? I was thinking about, you're welcome. I was sarcasm, I know, but you're still welcome. And you know, I was thinking about serenity as being comfort, calmness. You know, say it again. Composure. You know, there's a whole bunch of, serenity is a good word, but I just wanted you to expand your thought there. Sometimes we just make it a word. We don't let it become alive in us. Okay, you follow me? So God grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change. Okay, we were talking about this. What is it that we can't change? Our past. What's happened to us, right?
Sometimes our present, we have difficulty changing our present times. If not, we can't, we have difficulty doing that, but we can change the future definitely.
And you can't fix other people. You can fix yourself.
Wait. What'd you say?
You can't fix other people.
Oh, boy. How come we always trying to do that?
I don't know.
Because it seems easier.
Yeah, it's easier to fix others than to deal with ourselves, right?
Because if we change them the way that we're doing things,
Yeah.
we're okay.
Yeah. If you'll change, I'll be happy, right? My life will be great if you'd be different.
Then we'll both be okay.
Does that make us delusional?
It's living a fantasy, which would be delusional. And so we accept the things we cannot change. All right, we have to accept the fact that we can't change some things. I can't change how you act, Okay, when I remember in my earlier years, I remember that people would come to me and talk to me about maybe their spouse or somebody else, and they couldn't stand how they act. And I said, so they don't, God says that they don't have a right to act that way. They don't have a free will to choose.
Yeah, right.
And they say, no, they have a right to choose. So they have a right to be whatever he was, you know, or her as she was, or that person was, you know. They have a right to be that way. Isn't that true? They can be. God has given them the right to choose, right?
They do just as much as we do.
As much as you do. And so we accept that they have a right to be exactly the way that they are.
But they're wrong.
They have a right to be wrong, right? They can be wrong and stupid and everything else, pig-headed, if they want to be that way. They have a right to be that way. They can. And you say, well, isn't that being passive? That's what people always say when I'm talking about acceptance. Well, that's just being passive. No, it's by accepting reality the way that it is, instead of living in a fantasy they're supposed to be different. They're supposed to line up with what you think is right. Have you ever been wrong about something?
No, never.
So that doesn't mean that you have to like the way they are, okay? But you accept that they have a right to be that way. And you know what? That can begin to shift things in you, how you interact with that individual.
There's
Right?
really a freedom in it.
Yeah, they have a right to be that way, okay? Why must they be the way that I say they should be? Because I'm God and I'm in control? Oh, Lord. Right?
When it was Bob's world, instead of God's world, I want you to do what I want.
Yeah.
I just remember how exhausting and stressful
Ah,
being there was, where you could literally just be like, okay, and leave them to their own devices, and you still have your peace.
and then the rest of the story is that if it gets to a place where you can't resolve or go forward or work things out, they're not, they're just, it's like living with a terrorist, so to speak. Then you can make a different choice. Okay, now I know that's hard, I know that's difficult, but the fact of it is, reality is what it is. And denying reality isn't going to change reality. That's only going to inflict emotional pain on you. Isn't that true?
Yes.
Okay. So accept the things that I cannot change, which is just about everything. I can't change. The only thing we can change is really what's inside our skin, and we're not very good at that.
Right. Better.
But if we go ahead and focus our energy on dealing with this inside the skin instead of what's outside here, then we will get better. Because anything you focus on, you do get better at. So, and the next is, and the courage to change the things that we can. And that again is our thinking, our attitude, our choices, our behavior, our moods, okay, right, our moods. If we work on dealing with us, which is the hardest thing in the world, but if we don't do it, who will? Well, if you get
legal.
yeah, I was getting ready to say, if you get too out of control, you'd be put in some sort of detention situation. And there's some people that will use that time to make those adjustments. and there'll be other people that use that time to double down and be worse. I was listening to a fella that was the #1 producer in the mob back in the 70s. And he went to prison, and he was having a really difficult time. He was in isolation for 150 days or something like that, maybe longer, I'm not sure. But the guard gave him a Bible, which he wasn't, I think he was Catholic, but not really a believer. And but he started reading the Bible, and he started processing it and working through it because he didn't have anything else to do. And through that process, he made a shift, and he realized that there was enough evidence throughout the scriptures that confirmed that it was something that he could lean into and be a part of. And there are so many people that so many people that need an opportunity to do that. I went to a class that was put on by a counseling firm many years ago, and they had an author that came that had written a book. And one of the main things that I got out of that session was that this author said, according to his research, that if people had, he was a psychologist, okay, right? He did counseling, so he said if people would have a time of silence, time of quiet. He said that he found that people that actually went into in the earlier days, what they called the insane silence, where they had quiet, isolated time, that given enough time with themselves, they begin to clear mentally and emotionally. And he said that, and I've heard other psychologists say the same thing, that if we could learn some of those principles, that it would put the counseling business out of business. And so, because wouldn't it be reasonable to think that God has put that in us to help us to find that path? Isn't that what the Holy Spirit's supposed to be? To lead us and guide us into that truth? I've had so many people say, come, tell me what to do. And I'd say, no, I'm not doing that. I need you to tell me something else to do. And they already knew what to do, but they didn't want to do what they knew to do, that the Holy Spirit told them to do. So why are you coming to me?
They were hoping you would validate the bad thoughts.
So anyway, the courage to change the things that I can. When that stuff bubbles up, I need to do this. I need to make this change. I need to be a little nicer. You shouldn't respond that way. Then you need to pay attention. Okay? And then the wisdom to know the difference. Okay, we're already talking about that wisdom, knowing what's within my control and what's not in my control. So that's the serenity prayer. You all know the serenity prayer, right? So if you can keep that going through your consciousness, okay, that helps you to find that target. What do you think? Comments?
It works. But you have to work on it.
Well, it's a whole lot better than all that other stuff that we let live in our head, right? Yeah. Okay, because as one of the quotes I read earlier, if you want a happier life, it depends on the thoughts.
Yep.
That you're thinking.
Balance in mind.
And you're the only one that's in control of your thoughts. God is not even in control of your thoughts. He's given that right to you. Romans 12:2, be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of whose mind? Your mind. It's your mind. You're supposed to clean it up. He'll help you, but you have to take responsibility of it and be willing to do that. Allow him to help you in that.
He can literally do like 80 to 90% of the work.
It can happen like that.
We're too stubborn.
We got to be careful, though. Make those healthy choices. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May his face shine upon you and give you his peace.
Amen.
And of course, make healthy choices. See you next week. Looking to see some of you out there.